Food is life. Food is love. Food is what brings us all together. Here on A Taste of the Food Life, we're ready to talk about all things food. So pull up a chair and join us. Welcome to A Taste of the Food Life. Hey everybody, welcome to this week's episode of A Taste of the Food Life. I am Sergio Barrera, and once again I'm here with the executive producer of the show, Nurse Hot Stuff herself, Susan Chisholm. Susan, it is Thursday once again.
It is Thursday once again, and we are on, and everything is good.
Indeed. And we are here to have some fun talking tonight about food-related stuffs.
Absolutely.
And as we begin, we're going to call this one Food Crime Confession Time, because we've talked a lot in the past on this show, whether in pre-produced videos or few past episodes. It's all been good. It's all been stuff that food is great, food is enjoyable.
Yes.
But we thought we would take a moment and an episode to talk about the dark side of food.
Mm-hmm.
Food crimes that we've committed, food crimes that have been committed upon us,
Mm-hmm.
and food crimes out in the world. And
That
so
we have
it should be an interesting discussion here tonight.
It's going to be great. I spent a little bit of time thinking about, my food crimes and which stories I was planning on telling. Yeah, there's a few.
Yeah, I think if we look over the span of our lives, it's hard to imagine that we're the only ones that would have committed food crimes at some point. And so tonight we're going to share what those are, along with our other regular segments. And we'll see how this goes. So we thank you all for being here with us this evening as we get ready to take on this journey. And as always, we remind you that if you're watching this on YouTube, which thank you if you are, make sure you click on that subscribe button and also the notification bell so you know when episodes begin. And also, don't forget, catch all our past episodes here on the channel as well. If you're watching from Facebook, thank you. Go to our YouTube channel, man. Subscribe. So,
yes, there's more videos on the YouTube channel.
Absolutely, because one of these days, we're only going to go to YouTube. So you only have a few weeks worth of warning. So, Susan, food crimes. If you, without getting into detail and examples, if you had to define a food crime, in your opinion, what is a food crime?
I would say a food crime could be making something really terrible.
Okay.
Or breaking a cardinal cooking rule. One of those things where it's like, yeah, I shouldn't have done that.
Like
when you tell people about it, it's like, yeah, definitely shouldn't have done that.
So like butter on beans?
Butter on beans is not a crime.
Well, in the jurisdiction I live in.
If butter on beans is a crime, then lock me up.
Try
it. You might like it.
I don't know. But so as you join us tonight here in the chat, we look forward to hearing from you to see if you've had any food crimes that you have committed or have been committed upon you. And
absolutely.
Let's see. Angie says, how about dropping something on the floor and picking it up and serving to a customer?
That is not only a food crime, but I think that is actually a crime.
Yeah. So let's, you know what? That actually begs the question. The 5-second rule.
Okay. So are you asking me about it, or?
I brought it up.
So here, because here's my opinion. I have 2 points about the 5-second rule. Number one,
okay.
Do the germs just sit there and count? Okay, I can't get it yet. All right, 1, 2. Okay, it's my turn. All right, 3.
First of all, that's way too long the way you're counting.
I'm just saying, like, do they count before they jump on it? No. However, if it's not a dirty
Really?
We what is stomach acid for?
So you're
Yeah.
saying, see, you started out sounding like you were not a proponent of the 5-second rule, but then it took
Nope.
a turn.
Listen. I am not above picking food up off the floor and eating it.
Wow, the things we say on this show that are going to garner us more views.
What Cullen says right here. It depends on how wet the food is.
That's a good point. Look at that handsome picture.
Yeah.
Wow.
You drop a chip is no bad. But
Okay, so then
dropping like a tomato or something.
well, there it is. We have another opinion weighed in by my friend Brett Dean, who I have always called Brett Dean. I've never called him Brett because he's Brett Dean.
Welcome, Brett Dean.
Brett Dean confirmed for me that I'm being truthful here. You've always been Brett Dean. He says germs don't count for the first 5 seconds, and I gotta say I agree. So here's my question, because it seems like you and I are on the same page about this. All right,
Yep.
and Brett Dean, you're gonna have to answer this question too. Name the last thing you picked up off the floor and ate.
Oh, a tomato.
A tomato? That's a wet food.
No, it's not.
Okay. Okay, not in that. Okay,
It might even be this very tomato.
Yeah.
No, it wasn't. It was a little red one, and I ate it already.
Yeah.
Tomatoes.
I picked up a piece of granola. It was you know those chunks of granola that sort of like are like they're clumpy.
Yeah, big chunk, big
Yeah.
clump. Mm-hmm.
So
yeah, my thing about it too.
with Brett Dean.
Nice. So like, okay, no matter how wet or not the food is, if the floor is very dirty, it's staying there.
Sure. There's a measure by which to
Or if it's
do this.
dirt.
Yeah. Yeah. So let's see. You said tomatoes. I said granola. Brett Dean says chips. That's
Chips
safe.
all the way.
I think that's safe. Yeah.
I think I used that as an example too. Like, or maybe I was thinking it in my brain hole, but yeah. Chips,
No, I think you said it. And
some candies.
lettuce stuck in my mouth because it's a food show. I just had a salad a few minutes ago.
I did too.
Yeah, but I can't say that that's where it ended because I had pizza. Anyway, so Cullen says Captain Sparkle Pants says Mythbusters says it doesn't matter, and I agree. So I have to find that episode.
All I'm saying is we have stomach acid for a reason.
Yeah, but I think we both agree though that there's a limit. Like we probably shouldn't. We're not proponents of people like throw your food in the ground and then eat it. You're fine. So.
If it's accidental.
Yeah. And if you're quick.
Do
you recall any time where you're like, I probably should have done that? Like you did it and then you regretted it.
Oh yeah. Okay. I don't recall what it was, but I remember picking it up and like putting it in my mouth and then being like, there was fur on that.
There was fur.
So I was like, never mind. Boop.
Yeah. I think I did that with a Skittle once. I dropped a Skittle and I picked it up. Like it was almost absentmindedly. I picked it up because I was like, oh, it just barely hitting it. I was like, oh no. That was a bad move. But yeah. So I don't know what that says about us, that we've just admitted that we have picked up food off the floor and eaten it. But I think we're just human.
We're just human.
Yeah.
We like food.
I don't know that I'd classify it as a food crime, but it's food crime adjacent. And so, yeah.
Food crime adjacent. I agree.
Yeah, absolutely. So as we continue this conversation and we start to dig deeper into this notion of food crimes, let's begin with the idea of criminally bad meals that we've actually, you know what? I think I'm gonna audible here for a second. And let's not go there first. Let's begin criminally bad meals at restaurants. So this would be bad food experiences or food crimes committed upon us by restaurant establishments. Susan, if you had to guess, what do you think my first example is going to be?
Tia's.
Absolutely. Absolutely. There is Mexican joint here in San Antonio. I think it's only in San Antonio, and it's called Tia's.
Tia's
And
Tacos.
Tia's Tacos or something. And I not only had the worst food ever, it was bad service. It was a dirty restaurant.
It was
I
bad.
want to say we went there because of proximity, and
Yeah, to an event
also
that we were at.
it was late.
Oh, yeah. You were
Yeah,
like, "Oh, I don't wanna drive."
right. And it was
Bad.
the floors were dirty, the tables were dirty. We should have noticed as we looked around that like tables weren't bussed. Um, we could hardly find a table. It was one of those
Yeah,
where you have
because
to
they were
order
all
at the counter.
dirty.
Yeah, you had to order at the counter, and so then we went to look for a table, and no tables to be found because they were all
Mm-mm.
dirty, except one or two maybe. We sat down, that I know. And then, if I remember correctly, so I'm going to count this one as my food crime. So you were there. The beans tasted horrible. Um, everything was greasy,
Mhm.
and everything tasted off. Like anything. I think I had puffy tacos or something, but I remember that the
Yeah.
oil. You could tell the oil hadn't been changed. It
Mm-mm.
was just an overly bad experience in all aspects.
Yep.
In all aspects.
Yeah, and we ordered something very simple, like you said, you
Hmm.
ordered, like, tacos, and I ordered probably tacos also, and it took them like, 30 or so minutes, and we were, like, the only people there.
Yeah. Yeah.
Now, and for the record, there is more than one, location of Tia's, but, I'm not willing to risk it to go to a different location and see if it's
No,
better.
not after that experience.
No,
Not after that
I'm good.
experience. It's hard for me not to fault an entire chain if I've had that bad of an experience. I should say that bad of an experience at one, because
Yep.
who's to say? Now, on the flip side, do you remember the chicken restaurant we went to that we walked in and it looked really suspect in terms of like cleanliness
Yep.
and age, and yet it was like one of the best meals we've ever had.
Mhm, that's called it was,
So
Inca Chicken in
there
Pflugerville.
you go.
It's so good. They have such good
Food
food.
was great, but you definitely don't go there for the aesthetics.
No, yeah, you walk in and you're like,
Yeah, there was foil around one of their ovens. It was just
yeah.
it was that stood out to me. But oh man, the food was amazing.
Yeah,
I think we struck a nerve here. You can taste older rancid oil. No food should leave a pool of grease on your plate. That is absolutely true.
100%.
Yeah.
100%.
Nothing worse than being able to taste the oil on something you knew was fried, because you're not supposed to taste the oil. You're supposed to taste the food.
Yeah.
So,
Or if you taste the oil and it tastes like something different.
yeah, indeed. All right. So, what about you? Criminally bad meal at a restaurant?
Um, I've had a few experiences that are kind of like that. Not quite that bad.
Yeah.
But I remember Colin and I had gone to we were having a date night, but it was for something, like it was a special occasion
Hmm.
date. Um and we went to a nice restaurant. Um it was expensive. I'll just say that it was expensive.
Okay.
And it was kind of a similar situation where we sat down and like we sat down, we were on the waiting list, and so we
Yeah.
sat down and waited for them to call our name. We sat for people were coming in and out and being sat, and we were like, what the heck? And we were sitting right next to the host stand.
Yeah.
That was a bad and I walked up, I was like, hey, can you see where my name is on the list, because we've been sitting right here. And they're like, oh, we called you. No, you didn't. We were sitting right there the entire time. We didn't. And so she finally sat us down, and they got us waters, and then we were just waiting and waiting and waiting and waiting. And finally our server came by and she was like, okay, here's this or whatever. Okay, have some water and some bread. I'll be back in a minute. 20 minutes later, still hadn't come back. So we were just like, okay, and flagged her down. Like, can we please order now? And she's like, yeah, yeah. I think he got some kind of like fancy burger and I got like a chicken thing. The
Mhm.
chicken was absolutely raw in the middle. Like it had like char, like grill marks on the outside. It was
Yeah.
completely pink in the middle. And I think I was pregnant at the time. And I remember like sliding my plate across and I looked at Cullen and he looked at me and I was like, nope. But he's like, we're out. We literally just got up and left. We didn't pay for the drinks or we just had water. They
Yeah.
didn't even bring us, we ordered beverages. They never even brought them to us.
Yeah.
So we just left and I like flagged down the manager. I was like, that chicken's raw and I'm not eating it. So have a good night.
Yeah.
And as a matter of fact, I believe that restaurant is no longer, it's closed, right? The one that we went, it was, yeah, he knows what I'm talking about. It's closed.
Yeah. Justifiably so.
They're just jerks.
Yeah. I don't know if this counts, but I'm gonna wedge it into the topic. I was at a restaurant once, and it was a place I'd been to quite often. Um, yeah, this is really a wedge in, but I want to tell the story. So, it's a place I went to often, and I sat down, and the server came up to me, and I said, um, I said, um, I said something really innocuous, like, can I look at the menu or something? And she said, and what would you like with that? Like totally not paying attention. And I was like, what would I like with that? In my head, I was like, with what? I haven't said anything yet, but I thought I'm gonna pursue this. And I said, well, just the usual. And she goes, okay. And I was like, and so I sat there for a few minutes, and I was like, I don't know what I'm getting for breakfast. And I wish I thought that I was going to tell the story because I actually have a picture. It was breakfast. I got fried eggs, carne guisada, beans, and a waffle. And so I was like,
you know that she got back there and was like, what the fuck?
what do I put together?
It's got to be something memorable, right? Otherwise, I wouldn't know. Well, there was that one time that guy got a waffle with his.
I have
Yeah,
never had a waffle at this place. In fact, when it showed up, I'm like, they have waffles here? Like, I had no idea whatsoever. And so, yeah, it was the most bizarre thing. So I can't fault it as a criminally bad meal, but it was criminally bad service that somehow was saved because thankfully the carne asada was good, the beans were good, the eggs were good. I don't remember eating the waffle, but I'm sure I probably took a bite. But yeah,
I mean, it's one of those things where it's like, I want to try it all because evidently this is a combination that somebody's had before.
this was the smorgasbord. um, but yeah, so for me, I think if I'm going to classify something as criminally bad at a restaurant, I can forgive semi bad service if the food is really, really good, right? Because maybe they're just having an off night from a service standpoint, right?
Yeah.
But if it's
Maybe
a
somebody called in
mix,
sick.
yeah, if it's a mix of bad service and bad food, yes, I know it's not the service fault, the food, blah blah blah. Okay, but when it's across the board, I just I can't forgive that. That's I've spent money here, you know.
And I was taught from a young age, how everybody's like, okay, give it a try once,
Mhm.
Try anything. I've always been told try everything twice.
Okay.
Same reason. Because, first time maybe you're just off. Maybe the cook's having a bad day, or maybe your server's having a bad day, and you go back and it's still bad.
Yep.
It's no longer a coincidence. It's a pattern. Or what is it? What is it's a pattern at that point.
Yeah, it's a pattern. Yeah,
Yeah. But if
absolutely.
both are bad at the same time, it's like, I don't even want to give it a second try, but I should. Anyway.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
No, absolutely, absolutely. And it's one of those things where I can think of places that I will no longer go to. Just you run out of chances, and so yeah, or places that I've been to that were historically good, but then all of a sudden nosedived.
Yep.
Whether it was change of staffing or whatever. My one of my absolute favorite taquerias changed ownership, and in less than 3 weeks, the food quality plummeted,
Yeah,
and it's no longer there. You know, to your story earlier, it's no longer. It doesn't exist, and so yeah. And then there's the places like the place I tried to take you this past weekend that isn't open on Saturdays. That I've been eating there since I was 16 years old, and I'm 54. So yeah, there are some that last. So
I mean, every once in a while.
absolutely. All right. Well, we cannot put all the blame for food crimes on establishments. We have to own when we are the cause. And so we should
Mhm.
also discuss criminally bad meals that we ourselves have made. And I'm going to give you the option to either go first or tell me I need to go first. So what would you like to do?
So I have 2 stories that are immediately in mind.
Okay.
How many stories do you have?
I've got 2.
Okay. I will go first then.
Okay.
So, Cullen and I, we have been together since forever. We've been married since 2006. So, 8 going on 19 years coming up next year. Anyway, so when we received got our first apartment, it was this literally like a bedroom, a living room, and a tiny, tiny little galley kitchen.
Yep.
I think that the stove had 2 burners, like that small of a kitchen.
Right.
And I was okay at cooking. I mean, I wasn't the worst cook ever, but I wasn't the best cook ever. I was still kind of learning and getting, trying to emulate mom's cooking.
Yep.
And I was, had read or heard somebody talking about when they had gone to an Asian food restaurant and gotten ginger lime chicken. And I was like, this sounds fantastic. Where I'm from, there is not a whole huge variety of ingredients. And so ginger wasn't a thing that I was very familiar with.
Mm.
So I got all the ingredients that I needed. I cooked it, and Cullen ate it, and he was very gracious. And he was like, "Wow, this is different. It's not bad." I made ginger snap lime chicken. I took ginger snap cookies. I
You did
crushed them
not.
up. I crushed them up, and I breaded the chicken. I breaded the chicken in ginger snaps. I think I tried to fry it. And
Did you just hear the name?
I just heard the name.
I can't. I can't call that a crime. That's a comedy meal that you've made.
It was a crime. It was a goddamn crime. I think we both ended up like peeling off or like scraping off the ginger snaps and just eating the chicken with the limes on it.
You didn't look up a recipe.
It was pre-cell phone days.
You just assumed
like pre-internet.
that ginger lime chicken meant ginger
I
snap.
didn't know. You gotta give me a break, man. This is what we're here for.
Oh my gosh, that's great. I love it.
Thanks for that.
I absolutely love it. Whoa, and 4 comments just popped up real quick. Okay,
Yeah, here you go.
but
This is
it was jeez. Wow. Okay. That's a good one. That definitely counts. Rasta, good to see you. Also want to say hello to our other arrivals. We've got did we say hi to Angie and Captain Sparkle Pens? I think we did. Good old
Yes.
Gators in the house as well. Thank you all for joining us.
Yeah.
Brett Dean was here or is here. So I've known you for 5.5 years, going on 6.
Yes.
And you have never told me the ginger
Nope.
lime chicken story.
Nope.
And that's gonna get some airtime for sure.
Let me just say there are things that I am ashamed about to the degree that I don't talk about them or even try to remember them.
Gotcha.
And that's one of them.
Ginger lime chicken.
Yeah, I went and got like, and honestly, we were still really broke. Like, I
Yeah.
think at the time our little teeny tiny 600 square foot apartment was like $650 a month. Like, and we were both working at Starbucks, I think, at the time. So
Yeah.
yeah.
Hey, listen, you dug into the past, and apparently you have recovered because Cub Sparkle Pants says you're an amazing cook now. So
Yes, yeah.
absolutely.
He's trying not
So
to sleep on the couch tonight.
when you started telling your story, do you know what the first thing that popped in my head was?
No.
It sounded like an episode of Chopped, like something that would happen on Chopped, where it's like in your basket, there's chicken, there's limes, and
And
ginger
then
snaps.
ginger snaps.
Yeah, so like
I mean, and
you
honestly, it was like everything was the cheapest HEB brand,
yeah,
probably dollar store ginger snaps.
yeah.
Yeah.
Listen, I remember the days.
Whoops.
Okay, if I may, I'm going to interject a little aside before I get to my first one.
Okay.
I've told you before that and by the way, 32 years. So for Jen and I, but not that it's a competition. But there was a time when Jen and I were penny pinching, and we used to believe that it was a good day when we could pick up that Jenny-O compressed turkey loaf and have ourselves some turkey, mashed potato, and corn. I don't know if you ever knew the product, but it doesn't exist anymore. I looked because I thought, man, I'm gonna make one just for like old time's sake, and Jen's gonna kick me out of the house.
For
But
shiggles.
it was a loaf of Jenny-O turkey, and half of it was dark, and the other half was turkey colored, like a lighter color. And we were living high when we should have been high, but we were living high when we could afford to get the Jenny-O turkey loaf and bake that puppy in the oven in its little foil container with the gelatinous gravy that came with
Oh
it.
God.
And I think back now, and I wonder to myself, like, why would Jen ever say yes to this? Because she's not a picky eater. She's just a very purposeful eater. Like, she knows what she likes. But it was just that time where this was a good week, and so we're gonna get that Jenny-O turkey loaf. We got made mashed potatoes, made corn, and it was early Thanksgiving, man. Like, and so now I would consider that a food crime if I brought that home, and again, no shame to anyone who likes that stuff. That's fine. But Jen
Mhm.
she knows that since then I've learned to cook way better. And so in fact, I
Fair.
think I think we would both agree that it costs more to buy stuff like that than it does to actually cook the meal,
Oh
from
yeah,
scratch.
quite
So,
often.
but my first food crime story, thank you for letting me slip that story in.
No.
My very first food crime that I ever committed was on Jen when I decided I was going to make seafood for the first time. And I was going to make like tilapia and a good like wild rice kind of thing. And I was going to cook crab for the first time. And I thought that crab with a K was just a funny misspelling that people were trying to be, cutesy with. And so
Mhm.
I picked up the crab with a K and prepped it, and she took one bite. And I think we both have the kinds of spouses that are gracious in our early years. That if we did it now, they'd be like, "What is wrong with you? Like, why would you
Yeah.
think?" Right? And so she took one bite. We both took one bite of the crab with a K, and I was like, "Oh, I have made a huge error." It was absolutely horrible, just absolutely horrible. Um, and yeah, yeah, that was my first vivid food crime that I can recall thinking.
Oh.
I'll just say it. I done fucked up, and so yeah, yeah.
Yeah, it's about right.
But I'm doing much better now.
Uh-huh.
So.
I mean, we should bring Jen on and ask her. Um, She can vouch for the.
Oh, she'll vouch.
I'm just kidding. You do. You've cooked for me. It's really good. So my second food crime story occurred at Thanksgiving. I believe it was our first or second Thanksgiving together, married. Maybe we were spending it with Cullen's family, so we were at his parents' house. We all kind of brought different stuff to have his parents' house. My mom's dressing, her Thanksgiving dressing. So some people call it stuffing, but she doesn't stuff it in the bird, so it's dressing.
Okay.
She gave me her recipe over the phone.
How did I never make that connection?
What do you mean?
That stuffing was, never mind. Go on.
That it's dressing if it's not stuffed inside the bird, but if it's the same thing, but if it's stuffed in the bird, it's stuffing.
I'm sorry. Yes, I should know it.
Good night, everybody. No,
wow.
Okay. I took my mom's phone. I called my mom and I was like, hey, I want to do this. Like, give me the recipe. Tell me what it is. And she's like, I do everything, mostly by feel, but here's what I'm going to give you the recipe. So I like scribbled it down really fast. And I made this stuff and I was looking at it and I was like, it looks weird. Like, it's a weird color. It's very odd. And I was like, it's probably, in my mind, I'm like, it's probably just because it's not browning. It's not browned enough on the top. So I put it back in there and kind of browned it up a little bit. I was like, damn, it's still a really weird color. I'm sure it's fine. So I packed it up. We drove to his parents' house. We all sat down and I uncovered my dressing. And I remember his dad is very, what's the word? He's hilarious. He's funny. He's a jokester. He's a jokester. And he's like, oh, I've never seen it that color before. And I was like, it's good. It's really tasty. I had some before we left the house. And he was like, yeah, it's just a very, very vibrant green color. Yes, it is. I'm going to go get something from the kitchen now. I literally bolted. And I called mom. I'm like, why is it green? What? And she's like, talk me through what you did. And I went through the entire thing. I was like, I was like, okay, maybe it was a celery. No, the celery's not that green. I'm like, okay, well, it's gotta be the seasoning. It's gotta be something in the seasoning. And she's like, okay, well, what did you use? And I was like, well, you told me to use sage and poultry seasoning. And she's like, I told you to use sage or poultry seasoning. But anyway, how much did you use? And I said, 1 tablespoon of each. And she was like, teaspoon of one or the other, not a teaspoon of both. Maybe a teaspoon of both if you're lucky, not tablespoon. And I was like, so that's why it's green. It tasted not terrible because the other flavors in the dressing are very strong.
Yeah.
In a good way. So whenever we talk about holiday plans, Colin's dad likes to send me a message that says, are you bringing the green stuff this time? Yes, I'm bringing pistachio pudding.
Have you done the dressing since?
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
Oh, yeah. Tons of times. But that was I think the first time I ever made it.
Yeah.
By myself without mom talking me through it.
Right.
And I told her, I told her and I sent her pictures and she just died laughing.
That's awesome.
It was actually, it wasn't terrible. It was actually pretty good, relatively speaking, but
you had to like sage, I bet.
Yeah, if you didn't like sage.
Yeah.
Nope.
It wasn't the year for the Gumby colored dressing. So.
And it was like falafel. When you cut falafel open, it was maybe not that quite that vibrant, but it was green. Yep. And it was toasty on the top, like the falafel's toasty on the outside. Yeah. It was green in the middle.
Wow. We should recreate that.
No.
I think we should.
No. Yeah. You go ahead. You do what you want to do. I'm not going to argue. We should.
Oh,
yeah.
Man.
We should not do that.
Yeah. My second food crime is a product of my inexperience. In that I was making a large pasta dish, and I didn't think that size of pasta dictates length of time boiling, right? And I have only ever once since this cooked angel hair pasta. Because spaghetti noodles, pro. Name any other noodle, pro. But this one time, and thankfully, again, this was years ago, I tried my hand at angel hair pasta, and the mistake I made wasn't so much that it got mushy and clumpy. It's that I pushed forward and actually served it. Because and I wish I could tell you that it was just for Jen, but it was for about 25 to 30 people.
Oh no.
And this was the main. Okay. And
Oh no.
I just in my head I'm like, I need to persist, I need to push through. It's food and they'll eat it. And everyone is very gracious. But yeah. And for years after, I'm talking, this would have been 2005, 2006. I already fancy myself a pretty good cook at that point. Thankfully, much better now. But I would not even dare buy angel hair pasta because it was such a. I was like, I can't do it. I'm obviously stupid, and so so I've only made it once since, and it was in the last couple of years. But I was like watching the pot, like I was right over the pot. I'm not going to let this happen again. But yeah, and I still remember the mouthfeel of putting the pasta sauce and the pasta mush, and just for a while after, I really was like, I don't want to see these people ever again, because I really well, again, I done fucked up, so it was it was a bad experience.
Fair.
Yeah,
Yeah.
but I'm doing much better now, so
much better now. Yes.
yeah.
And I just want to say, like, food crimes or like silly mistakes, if you will, they happen. You're not immune to them even after you're a good cook.
Oh no, not at all.
So I am making a recipe. Just this is the perfect and what a great opportunity for me to tell this story. I have a really fancy air fryer. It has a dehydrator setting. It has other stuff. So those two settings, air fryer and dehydrator, are the only ones that are relevant to this story. I was attempting to dehydrate orange peels. And I selected air fry instead of dehydrate. And I came upstairs and I was doing something. I came back downstairs and they were burnt to a crisp. I mean, crispy. Ask me how long ago it was.
I seem to remember you told me about this recently.
Go ahead and ask me how long ago that was.
How long ago was it?
An hour.
Oh, today?
An hour ago.
Wow. Why did that sound familiar though?
Oh, I've probably done something. I think I obliterated some herbs.
Yeah. So
Definitely
you committed a food crime on a piece of food
today.
Yeah.
I murdered the F out of that orange peel.
Wow.
He's dead.
Hey,
he's gone.
It happens. It happens. If I may, again, it's not a competition. I visited a food crime upon a piece of food as well. Just recently, a few months ago or weeks ago, maybe, I created salmon jerky on accident. And so that was sort of like, oh yeah, that happened too. But I was heating up a piece of Stollen bread that I don't know if you're familiar, but Stollen bread has the little jellied fruits that usually you find in fruitcake and stuff, right? And the reason we don't have a what are those
toaster oven?
Toaster oven, thank you. The reason we don't have a toaster oven anymore is because I basically lit it on fire. And so I put in the piece of stolen bread in the toaster oven, walked away, and Jen and I are walking back into the dining area room that's adjacent to our kitchen. And the lights were low enough for us to notice this glow emanating from the kitchen. And she's like, what is, did you turn a lamp on or something? I'm like, lamp? Why is there a lamp in the kitchen? And we went and we turned the corner into the kitchen, and the inside of the toaster oven was literally aflame. And yeah, the liquored up jellied fruit
Oh no.
ignited, and it was basically a black brick by the time we were able to get it fished out.
So I actually, I know we're wrapping up this, but I want to share my own similar story. When my sister and I were younger, we used to play summertime, like when we were kids. We would, get up, do our chores really fast, and then play video games the rest of the day, much like my children now. And we had a toaster, like a regular pop-up toaster, and we got Pop-Tarts because we were good, or some kind of treat. I was not very tall. I mean, I'm still not very tall, but I wasn't then either. So I went and got the toaster, and I put the chair up to the thing. I got the toaster down. I put it on the chair because why? I put the Pop-Tarts in there, and I ran to go see what Becca was doing, because she was doing something on the game that we were playing together, and she was telling me, she's like, oh, this is so cool. Like, check this out. So I ran back over there and checked out what she was doing, and I heard the toaster pop up from the other room, and I was like, oh, okay, it's done. Dashed back in there, and it's burning flame. And so in school, we had learned about fire safety, and we didn't have a fire extinguisher at the time.
Mm-hmm.
And I remember them saying, like, hey, if you have a grease fire, you're supposed to put the lid on it, but you're also supposed to, like, some kind of dry kitchen product, usually salt. My mom had a Tupperware that fit 5 to 10. It was big. It was, yay big. Square Tupperware, like cube Tupperware thing. It could probably fit 10 pounds of flour in it. And I got it off the shelf because that's the only thing I could think of. So I got to smother this fire. So I just took the whole thing and just poof and just dumped the entire thing on the toaster.
Wow.
Mom was upset with me for dumping the flour on the toaster. She was like, thank you for not letting the house burn down. But why did you do that? Why didn't you just get water? And I was like, because they told us not to put water on kitchen fires. Mom's like, grease fires. Don't put water on grease fires. I was like, okay.
What's the difference? Like, it was in the kitchen.
I was like 7 or 8. Like
yeah, that's what I'm saying. In our mind at that point, it's like, it was in the kitchen.
Well, yeah. I mean, I was also the dumb kid that, they told us not to drink and drive, don't drink and drive. And my dad was trying to drink a Big Red while driving. I was like, we're not supposed to drink and drive.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. Not a very bright child. Sometimes I was a smart kid, but not very smart. If that makes sense.
Yeah. Even today.
Same. I was blonde instead.
Yeah. Well, luckily, Susan, we're not alone. We are surrounded by the internet. And as a result, we can actually revel in the fact that there are plenty of folks out there that are committing food crimes, videotaping them, and are getting millions and millions of views.
Putting them on the internet for everyone to see.
So what I thought we would do is take a look at a few of these. And as we watch these, we would maybe comment upon what we're seeing and figure out if we would ever do something quite like what we're about to see on screen. So this content creator, I'm going to name, it's Silly Girl, SLLYGIRL. And I only name because she has millions of views on her recipes. And so I thought, well, I mean, something's working. And so let's take a look at this.
Oh, I know who this is already.
We're going to start by grating a frozen chicken breast. Let's flip my chicken around here. And this is what it should look like when you're done. I'm going to take our shredded chicken and I'm going to transfer it to a bowl. crack an egg here. We're gonna add some salt, a little bit of pepper.
I have to start by asking you: have you ever considered the notion of grating a frozen piece of chicken? Like, there's part of me that's like, it's kind of genius, but
No. Why?
well,
Why
let's
would
find
you do
out.
that?
Let's find
A
out.
little bit of Italian seasoning and a little bit of garlic powder. And I'm also gonna add a little bit of breadcrumbs. Now we're gonna mix all this together. Once
Just
you're done
buy-
mixing, you wanna mold it together almost like a hamburger patty. Now take some saran wrap, place it over your bowl. We wanna place that inside our bowl. Now we're gonna take our chicken, and we're gonna place it into our bowl. You wanna mold that to the bowl. Now we're gonna fold over the saran wrap and do each side. Push it over this way. Nice and tight. Now, once that's wrapped, we want to place it into the freezer for about an hour. All right, let's see if we can unwrap this thing. Oh, just gonna unravel the rest here. Place that into our flour, nice and gentle. Coat that completely. All right, goes into our egg now. We want to cover it all up. Now it goes into our breadcrumbs. There we go. All right, let's give it a nice flip again. Now we're gonna pop this into the oven at 400 degrees for about 20 minutes. Okay,
Oh, hey, it's
actually
not
been
big.
about
I mean,
30
it's not
minutes.
fried. It's big.
Take a look. Whoa. Wow. All right, we're just going to cut this in half now. Oh, that's cutting nice and smooth.
Oh, I forgot that this is what she
All
was
right, you
doing.
ready? That looks just like bread. All right, I'm going to grab some mayo here. There we go. Now we're going to place some burgers. Now we're going to place some cheese. I'm going
Completely
to place
forgot
another
about that.
burger. I'm going to place a little bit of ketchup. One more layer of cheese. I'm going to add some crispy bacon. And to top it off, our burger bun. There you go. Look at that.
Listen, you and I are always on the constant hunt for protein.
No. Why didn't you just buy ground chicken?
Hey,
It's literally the same price as buying chicken breasts. Like I use ground chicken in my ground. I substitute it for ground beef. I do a combination of ground chicken and ground pork. It's
Yeah.
$3 for a pound of friggin' already ground chicken.
I mean, I get the notion of resourcefulness, you know, but yeah, it's a little bit, yeah. But wait, there's more.
Burger, cheese, burger, cheese. Now we're going to take a slice and we're going to place it around just like that. Now we're going to place this one
If I ever
behind
see her in
here.
person, I swear to God, I'm
Put
going to
that
hit
down
her.
gently. Now we're going to do the other
We
side.
do not have
Set
advocate
up
violence
against
on
the
this
other
show.
cheese. And the last one goes to the front. There we go. And now for some crinkle cut fries. I'm gonna cut these up nice and small. They're gonna go on our burger. Now we're gonna take half a cup of milk, half cup of water, 1 cup of flour, and 1 egg. Now we're gonna whisk all this together and make our batter. We want it nice and thick, just like that. Now we're gonna take some saran wrap, and this is where things get interesting. Now
Yep.
we're gonna take half our fries and place
That
them
ain't
in
a
the
lie.
center of the saran wrap. We're just gonna flatten that out. Now we're gonna take this and cover in some batter. We want to make sure it's completely covered. Now we're going to place this on top of our fries. Now we're going to take the rest of our fries and we're going to place this on top.
All right, I have to get your thoughts, Susan, because I see your reactions so far. What's going through your mind? Beside the word why.
WTF?
Yeah.
Where did this come from? Who
channel.
made
Who made this up? She
who
did,
made
obviously.
this? Who made this up? Like what?
Yeah.
Keep going.
Let's see where this goes.
Roll that beautiful bean footage.
Just want to fill in all the gaps here. We just want to push all this together. Now we want to take our saran wrap and fold it over. Do the same thing underneath here. Now we want to pop this into the freezer for about 30 minutes.
Her freezer gets to work out,
So
man.
now we're just going to unwrap it. Should stay together nicely. There we go. Now I just want to transfer this over to our ladle. Now we're going to deep fry this.
Susan, your
Nice and
face.
slow. There we go. See how that's nice and brown there? We want that all around. Just want to let that drip. I'm going to transfer this over here. I can't wait to eat this. Oh,
Did you hear
man.
a clunk on
If you
the
don't have
plate?
any buns, you can use fries.
Oh my goodness.
Or
There,
you could use bread. And if you don't have bread or buns, just have a bunless burger.
yep.
Nothing wrong with that.
Yeah, it's interesting that I'm trying to see 2.9 million reactions to that video.
Outrageous. Let
Yeah.
me tell you though, I will admit to one more food crime that's
Yeah.
related to that. I was trying to be healthy at one point in my life, and I made a burger, and I used plain rice cakes as a bun.
Really?
Once. It was actually
Yeah.
not terrible. I'm not gonna lie. It was not terrible, but once.
Yeah. We got a couple more. One of our favorite chips is about to be
We're gonna
assaulted.
start with 2 eggs in our Doritos bag. Next,
Oh,
we're gonna add a
God.
little bit of milk. There we
Just that first sentence to start the video. We're gonna add 2 eggs in our Dorito bag. I'm like, I don't think I would ever myself say that for any reason whatsoever.
There we go, not too much. Next, we're going to close the top of our bag and lay it down flat. And using a rolling pin, we're going to beat this down. Pick that up and give it a nice shape. So everything's coated all together. Okay, we're going to set that aside and grab some chicken breast. I have some boneless, skinless chicken. We're going to cut that this way. I'm going to make them into smaller pieces. I'm using a little bit of pepper, a little bit of garlic powder, a little bit of onion powder. And now we're going to give these a flip. I'm going to do the same thing to the other side. Get all that in there. Next, we're going to take our chicken and place it into some flour. Make sure the whole thing's covered.
Smallest
Just like
containers
that.
possible.
Pick that up and lay it on our cutting board. I'm going to grab a chicken strip. All right. And very gently, I'm
Oh
going to
my.
place it in our bag. Give it a good shake. Look it around. All right, so do that for about 30 seconds. I can't even find it. Hold on. I literally can't find it. Oh, hold on. I found it. Wow. Amazing. I'm just going to add some vegetable oil here. Let's pick up our chicken nice and gently. Lay that in there. Hear that sizzle.
I mean,
Nice and gentle, don't
conceptually,
burn your
I get
fingers.
it.
Give it a flip. Nice golden color there.
Conceptually, I get it.
Do that right there.
Procedurally,
Go.
There's better ways.
why?
That's
Yeah.
so good.
Why don't you just crumble them and put them in a bowl
Or a Ziploc. I mean,
or a Ziploc even, but freaking just put it in a bowl. That way you won't lose the chicken in the bag. I can't find it. Bleh. I'm going to go home. I'm going to go to bed now.
I feel like this is impacting you. Let's see. This one has how many views or how many likes? 1.5 million. So yeah. All right, one last one. And it would help if I actually started the screen share. All right, here we go. This one right from the get-go.
We're going to start with 4 eggs. Add that to our Oreos. Now we're going to completely cover our Oreos with the yolk. We're going to toss this into our food processor. I'm going to pour this into a bowl. Now the next thing we want to do is add a half a cup of milk, half a cup of vegetable oil, and half a cup of sugar. And now we whisk it all together. There we go. It's coming together nicely. Now we want to add a half a cup of flour, a little at a time. We want to prevent
I
clumping.
swear to
Now
God.
that that's mixed, we're going to add 1 tablespoon of baking powder. Mix it all together. Now that's getting nice and thick. This is the consistency.
Is she making
Now, last but not
fucking
least,
brownies?
That doesn't look bad.
Now we're gonna mix it all again. All right, now we're gonna pour this into our cake pan. Go this
Just
way.
making
All right,
fucking
now we want to
brownies.
place this into the oven at 390 degrees. And we want to keep it in there for 35 minutes.
I do question
OMG,
sometimes
I
whether
can't wait to eat this.
where this began
That
is
is
really where all that
perfect.
batter
Before
came
we
from.
cut into it, we got to make it look pretty. All right, we're gonna cut into it now. Oh, that's so nice and smooth and delicate. That looks amazing.
Like, does any part of you question whether or not the final batter was really the Oreos and eggs from the beginning?
Oh yeah, the cuts in those videos like that. It's like, but did you switch that out? You might have switched.
It
that
makes
out.
you wonder. It does make.
It makes you wonder. I don't.
Hey, well, it looks like
I
you're going to try it pretty soon because
I was literally about to say.
yeah.
Look at the next comment. He said we should try that. Let me say it's one of those things like you remember Chef Reactions
Oh yeah.
where he's like 2 out of 10 I'd try it. That's me. I'm like I'd try
Yeah.
it. I would if somebody made it for me. I
Well,
would try
and
it.
if they didn't tell me that that's what it was, I'd think it was just cake. But again, I go back to the notion of, I mean, I agree with Cullen. We should probably try this because I want to know, do you really end up with that much batter? Because what we were watching a video recently, you and I, where we were like, it was very obvious that
Yeah.
the cut the food product that we saw was not what we started with.
Oh yeah, no,
The
100%.
volumes
I
were
can't
completely
remember
off.
what it was though. Like,
Yeah,
don't
same,
ask me to repeat what it was.
same. But yeah, so but the reason I included that one last was because from the start of it to the end of it, it goes to a place that for me was totally unexpected. You know, because when you start mixing eggs with Oreos just flat out in a bowl, like why, right? But then, does it really work? We need to find out.
Why put the eggs in the Doritos bag? Why don't you just fucking crazy?
Right. Yeah, it like you said, it's about procedure more than anything else. I think Captain Sparkle Pants is suggesting we to try that for the show. So I'm not above stealing ideas. So
Live video.
all
Why
right.
not? That's what we're doing this weekend.
Well, at the end of the day, I think it's fair to say that all of us, even those watching, probably have at least one time in our life when we have committed a food crime of some sort, whether it's
Absolutely.
upon people we love or whether it's been committed upon us. It happens.
Yep.
But it doesn't define who we are as
Not at all.
cooks, especially as home
Mm-mm.
cooks, right? So
Not
it's
at all.
okay. It's definitely okay. And we forgive you. So
I mean, since that point, I've learned how to make hot jams and jellies and salsas. Hence
yeah,
my name. Yep. There's hot stuff.
absolutely. And I've done a whole lot better with cooking in the last several years. So it's one of my favorite things to do. Very therapeutic. So we've gone a bit long this week, Susan, with this topic, which I don't mind. But I would like to see if we could move our segments to next week so that with the time we have remaining, we continue our new tradition of our food named pet of the week. So tell the folks that are watching what we're doing and what that's all about.
So, as you all are probably well aware, our shelters around the state, around the country, are being filled with loving and sweet animals who could use a really just need a home. They need a family. They are sometimes they're older animals, sometimes they're uh imperfect, if you will. Animals that are often overlooked because of their age or their imperfection. Um, and I am making it part of my mission to inform people about these wonderful animals that just need a family, just need a home. And so I look at different shelters in at least our area, in Austin and San Antonio area, and I find pets that are named after food. And I kind of give them a little bump on our show here.
Absolutely. So this week, who do we have?
This is Meatball Matthew. Let me get him.
I love the name.
Meatball Matthew. At Austin Pets Alive.
Face.
He is older. He's 9 years old. Almost 10 years old. Zero, and I want you to notice, zero adoption fee for this guy. He is cuddly, he's sweet, he purrs a lot. He gets along well with other creatures, and it even says a little bit later on he might be a little standoffish at first, but once he breaks through that, once the ice is broken, he is yours forever. He will not leave your side. So check out Meatball Matthew and his. There's a box of churros. Those are those like liquidy cat treats.
Okay.
They're like squeezable cat treats. Look at his face. Look at his sweet face. He's so adorable.
Boy.
There you go.
Oh,
That's the blue steel. So Meatball Matthew can definitely come to Austin. He is at a foster home right now. But he's definitely, in need of a forever family. If I didn't have 3 cats and 2 dogs and 3 kids already, I would be asking to add Meatball Matthew to our home. But I fear that should I show up with Meatball Matthew, I would be murdered in my sleep. No more.
Just want to
cats.
say for the sake of those watching, that would not happen.
No,
I
no.
can speak for Cullen. So
He wouldn't. I'm being sensationalist. But anyway, Meatball Matthew, spicy, sweet, and seasoned. It says.
yeah, that face.
Get his
If I
little
didn't already
adorable-
have, if I didn't have 4 dogs and 6 cats, I would. Yeah, I would definitely add Meatball Matthew. So
Yeah.
Yeah.
Just think. Just look at that. He looks like he wants to just. He wants to tell you something,
yeah,
and it is, I love you. Be my mom. Be my dad.
yeah. So our hope is that whether you're watching with us live or whether you are catching up with us later, that again, as Susan said, we decided before relaunching this show that we were going to use this platform for good, and we both have a love for pets in need and rescues, and this is a great example of why. And you know, it's not just the food named pets. There's a bunch of pets that really are in need of homes, and we hope that we can use this platform to encourage folks to adopt and
Yes,
to give
please.
these loving animals a home. I mean, I believe in my heart that I have at least one more adoption in me. Jen and I, we love adopting cats and dogs that are older, senior, because
Seniors.
they need. I want their last however many years. I mean, gosh, we've taken on pets that we thought were close, and I mean, we adopted Steven. He was 7. Our cat Steve the Pirate, one of our one-eyed cats.
Mhm.
And here he is 9 years later, still going strong at 16. And but nobody wanted to adopt him because he was, quote, too old. I heard it so many
And
times when I was there.
and he's less. He's imperfect.
Yeah, I mean, and that's the thing is
It's insane.
I prefer the animals that have some form of special need. I mean, I have 2 one-eyed cats. I used to have there was 3-legged cat. It's just, you know, and I love my animals that are whole, but you know, to see them all interact with one another and to love one another despite those differences is an amazing thing. So we hope that we'll inspire at least one person to adopt one of these amazing animals, and we'll continue to use this platform to promote that both here in San Antonio and also in Austin. So Susan, thank you for all the footwork you do to promote these animals. So
Yeah. I would
right.
love to give a senior pet and make sure whatever time he's got left, he's living the high life.
Absolutely. So we will be back next week with our segments. Susan, thank you for letting us move those forward. I think after today with our food crime episode, I think we at some point need to do a contrast episode where we talk about some of the best food things we've ever done.
Oh, I've got a couple really good ones.
Yeah. Everybody listening has that dish that you know that's your pro dish. Like you're always gonna hit a home run with. So very soon we'll do a contrast episode to this one, and we'll talk about the good things we've done with food. So all right, well, gee, it's been fun, Susan. Thank you for all the work that you put into this episode, and I think we should probably start to close, but before we do that, we've got our Tickety Talk of the week, and it's from one of our favorites creators, and he is almost always ready to call something a food crime until he tries it. So let's hear from Corey B with this week's TikTok of the week.
You eat a whole chocolate cake every night.
You can't eat a whole chocolate. What in the off-ramp to fat camp are you talking about?
1 apple, 1 egg, and cocoa powder.
You can make a cake out of apples? What, the crapples? That's an apple cake? Welcome back to Ain't No Way, Jose. Ain't no way. Never in my life. 1 egg, 1 apple, 1 egg. Okay, welcome back to I Am Too Close to Having High Glucose. Big heaping scoop of cocoa powder. Now, she said this part is optional, but it helps it rise. Baking powder, little teaspoon. Okay, she made her cake in a big bowl. I'm using 2 Rumpelstiltskins to make mine, okay? This better work. I swear. The shadow that fires.
Go ahead and add some chocolate chips to it, too.
$3.50 for 30 minutes.
Okay, now put it in your refrigerator for about 4 minutes. 4 minutes. 4 minutes to say what I gotta say. This cake and it's delicious.
We need to try that.
That's another. Okay, I'm writing down all the things we need to try.
Absolutely.
So apparently we need to try, what was it? Oreo cake and
Oreo cake
apple cake.
and apple cake, chocolate apple cake. So, oh, the things you can learn on the internet. So, all right. Well, that was our TikTok of the week. We will be back next week for another episode of A Taste of the Food Life. As always, folks, we thank you so much for being here with us. Susan, where can they find you?
Right. You can find me on Facebook at just my name, Susan Chisholm. On Twitter, X, whatever, at Suzer Bruiser, and on Etsy at nurseHotStuffDesigns.etsy.com.
All right. For myself, you can find me on Twitter, X, whatever, at Surge Sexy Potato. And of course, on Instagram, I am the Sexy Potato, as well as TikTok. Speaking of, we have our own social media here at the show on Instagram. Find us at Taste of the Food. It's actually A Taste of the Food Life on Instagram. So look us up there. And we're starting to get around to some TikToks. We still only have one, but we're going to start working on some more soon.
Yes.
So look us up at A Taste of the Food Life Pod on TikTok for future content. And if you have ideas, Susan, they can find us where?
You can send us an email at atasteofthefoodlife@gmail.com, or any of our social media platforms that we just mentioned. Just send us a direct message and we'll be there for you.
Indeed. In fact, we're going to institute a contest that Susan has no idea about because I just thought of it.
Okay.
Whoever sends us an idea for a food tasting for this show, if we choose your option, I will buy you some Nurse Hot Stuff hot sauce. Okay? It is that good, and I need to put her to work. So, whoever sends us out of whatever number of selections we get or ideas we get, whichever one we choose, I will personally gift you a set of hot sauces and jellies from Nurse Hot Stuff myself, because it's that good, and you'll have earned it by giving us the idea that wins. So get to thinking and send us those entries at atasteofthefoodlife@gmail.com. If you know us, give me a call. So let us know.
Text me, don't call me.
All right. And if Colin wins, you can just make him for him. So I'm kidding. So yeah. Nah, okay. All right. Well, Susan, as always, thank you so much for all that you do. Any last things before we start to sign off?
I think I'm good to go.
All right. Well, just remember, as always, folks, we love you dearly. We hope that you eat well and take good care of each other. But more importantly, remember that you are awesome, you're amazing, and the world's a better place because you are in it. We'll see you next week on another episode of A Taste of the Food Life. Thank you, everybody, and good night.
Good night.